must be Lloyd.
What gave it away?
The trash stash. It leans Lloyd.
Easy.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another Backlog Banter movie review. My name is Tucker Hazel and of course I am joined in person by Tanner Dykstra and Abram Biener. Today we are talking about another new movie, this time one coming to Netflix near you, but we got a chance to see it in theaters. That is The Gray Man, starring Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, directed by Joe and Anthony Russo. It's a new action movie, and we are here to talk about it. But if you want to talk about this movie with us, you can join our Discord. That link is at the top of the description. And while you're down there, you can subscribe to the channel, you can like this video, you can ring the bell to make sure to notify yourself when we drop more movie reviews, because, boy, there's a lot coming, especially on August 5th. You won't want to miss that. But thank you always for joining me. We're starting with Abram. He's new here. It's his first time on one of these short edited reviews. Abram, what do you think of The Gray Man?
So Tucker, here's the thing, right? There's such a thing as Abram core, and what that is basically your action movies, your modern action movies. You got the ones of real acclaim. You got your Bond Craigs, which I love, your Craig Bonds, doesn't matter. You got your Mission Impossibles, you got your Wicks, right?
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of, I don't want to call it horse shit, because it's not. But you got a sliding scale from your proteges, which are not good at all, to like your Atomic Blondes and your Ambulances, which, hey, they're pretty goddamn good movies. And I think that The Gray Man falls on the good side of that spectrum,
Oh, there
right?
you go.
I think that this is quite an impressive movie. It feels like it has a little bit more of its own identity. It's not just trying to be John Wick. It's not just trying to be these other films. There's a great sense of comedy here. I like that we have two very charismatic men in this film.
Yeah.
But they're different charismas. You've got Ryan Gosling's traditional, suck all the energy onto him, suave, sort of quietness that we see sometimes.
He's doing a bit of his drive
He's
character
doing some
here.
drive here,
Yeah.
right? But then on the other hand, we have what I would describe as an unhinged and unexpected performance from Chris Evans.
Yes.
Maybe if I'd seen the trailer, I would have expected it, but I didn't. And I think they play off of each other really well. And when you throw in some inspired action moments, you throw in a plot that is sticks landing better than, frankly, a lot of plots in this.
Yeah.
What in the Abram core landscape do? I think you have a pretty good time. Is this a theatrical film necessarily? I think you watch it at home.
Yeah.
But I like The Gray Man a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, I also think this is a very good movie. I think I'll have to disagree a little bit. I think maybe my biggest flaw with this movie is I don't feel like it has a very strong identity. It is just an action movie with thriller elements. I think the strongest aspect of its identity is Chris Evans' character being ridiculous and over the top, and the dynamic between the two of them, so the cat and mouse dynamic. But other than that, I do feel like this movie lacks a bit of identity, and not much of it I feel will stick with me. But that doesn't mean not all is good on the whole. My main problem I would say is I don't think the ending is very compelling. It sort of ends in a strange place. But we're not doing spoilers here. Tanner, what do you think?
I like The Gray Man. I started out middling on it, but as the film progressed, I got higher and higher on it. I think it is just because I think the Russos can direct some action scenes.
Yeah.
Quite personally, they run the gamut here. I think there's a handful, or there's a one that I do not like for sure, but there's other ones that I quite do like, such as the dueling examples there being, I don't really much care for the plane action sequence, particularly the part where we are
Black Widowing.
We're Black Widowing. We are tumbling down a plane. We are fighting a guy while he's in a parachute. CGI looks a little rubbery, looks a little blurry, things like that. But on the flip side, I do quite like the whole assault on this plaza in Prague, followed by this sort of chase scene that involves a street rail car sort of situation. I think the film has both. I do enjoy both Gosling and Evans in this. Ana de Armas, I can really take or leave. She's serviceable. She's fine as a sort of sidekick, a tertiary character for this story.
Yeah.
But this is really, and they sell it as this. This is really Gosling and Evans' movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me put it this way, right? Because you say it's kind of lacking identity, and I think you might be right in a macro sense, but I live and breathe these fucking films, right?
Sure.
And there's a feeling that you get to where, we're just doing John Wick. We're doing X, we're doing Y. And to Tanner's point, I think that these sort of action set pieces and the locations we visit kind of get us out of that space a little bit. Because I agree with you. I think that must establish on the spectrum, right? These action sequences go from Black Widow to Winter Soldier.
Sure.
I would say.
Yeah, that's a great
And they
point.
spend more time on the Winter Soldier side.
Absolutely.
Horseshit CGI parts aside, but there's another part on top of like a rail car, which does not look good either.
Yeah.
But when we're taking it down to street level, right? The personality that our two dueling leads give leads to a lot of fun moments in fun set pieces, right? So I appreciated that a lot, and I think it's their performances that are going to make this one stick with me, where so many of these films don't.
No, that's a good point.
Maybe it was that first surprise angle of not having seen anything pre-release. But I think when you're getting what is just a bizarre performance from Evans, where he's making Charlotte's Web references, and he's just being like irreverent, and he's got the Tanner stash, and he's just being a goober. It's really good.
I wanna speak to the writer of this film a second. There is a joke thrown in this film where it is referred to as a trash stash. I'm gonna find you.
Sure.
And I'm going to give you a strong talking to.
Sure.
You never want that.
About the up and coming fashion, the comeback of the stash. Chris Evans recognized it. I recognize it, and we are brother in arms.
Now here's the thing about the plot of the film.
Sure.
I think that is where the movie falls apart and doesn't quite have its own identity, because it is Black Ops. It is undercover CIA nonsense. Everything is, we're not allowed to be revealed. People don't know anything that's going on.
Sure.
And the people that aren't our main three leads, I think, are not good at all.
Billy Bob Thornton is not very good in this movie.
There's a young girl who Ryan Gosling is rescuing throughout this movie, and I think she's actually very good in terms of the not main three actors' performances. I think she's certainly the best and most memorable. But otherwise, it's a lot of CIA people with not very interesting backstories and a plot that is convoluted in the background with a goober that you got to go after, and the elements of the film that focus on that, I was lost in the weeds with. And the film barrels towards that as it ends, and there's a twist with one of the villains that I don't think works very well. And there's a bunch of maybe sequel bait near the end that just sort of peters out, and that really left me wanting for a more clean cut ending where it was our two leads. Boom. Okay, that's it. But it doesn't really leave me in a place of excitement. It's more like, yep. That was an ending to a CIA movie.
Yeah, I mean, you got our supporting actors like Jessica Henwick, Billy Bob Thornton, I mentioned, Regé-Jean Page, even Alfre Woodard is in this one. She in a brief role. I'd say the first three that I mentioned are not very good. Alfre Woodard is fine; she's not in it for that much, all things considered. But yeah, like I said, I think this movie really belongs to Gosling and Chris Evans.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a problem, because ultimately, you got to contextualize the film you're watching, right? I mean, when you're watching these movies, they're archetypes. They follow archetypes, right? And so the plot is what you think the plot's going to be. The guy's got this personal connection. He's got to follow through, and it's leverage against him. The ice-cold assassin has a heart he got to unearth, right? But it's made unique to his performances. And ultimately, what else is I coming to the movie for?
No, here's the thing. You're right with that. That was what the plot of the movie was. Maybe Chris Evans' character is being manipulated by a larger force, and that's it. I wish it had focused down on that. But we keep pulling away to these sequences that is the CIA, trying to figure things out, talking to Chris Evans, and I'm like, I don't care about these characters. Give me back to Gosling. Give me back to Evans. Give me back to Ana de Armas. That's it. But unfortunately, they do pull you out quite a few times to focus on these characters, and that's where the plot of the movie is. Not upon the characters, which is what works on the whole.
No, I think that's a fair point, Tucker. It just comes back to, like, it's a Netflix movie, right? And so I'm thinking the person watching this, maybe they're going to the theater. If you're going to the theater, I think you can probably wait for Netflix. It's probably where I would land on this on the whole. But if you're clicking on this film when you got things like Red Notice and you got other nonsense, right? I think you're not going to be disappointed through that lens, because it comes back to the style, and I think that's what we ought to discuss before we GTFO.
I personally find this a lot more stomachable than your Red Notices, than stuff that might be that might be starring your The Rock and your Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot. She's also in that movie.
Sure.
They have to make a joke at every single turn, and it feels forced because that is the persona that those actors have. But there's still jokes here. I mean, as we mentioned, Chris Evans is going. He's doing a bit zany. He's going a bit zany. He's going fairly zany in this.
Yeah.
He is having a great time. I appreciate that Chris Evans is just having a good time in this role. But at the same time, it's not a joke at every turn. When we go back to Ryan Gosling, he's not cracking jokes. He is a comedic straight man. They're giving him some quips, but it's not overbearing, I would say. It's really only when he's in a scene with Ana de Armas, which they really only share scenes towards the end of the film, the third act, I would say. And honestly, Ryan Gosling is just better at delivering those kinds of things than... he's just very good at delivering those straight man lines.
Yeah.
And I do think it is a Marvel spark. I think you can certainly feel the Russos.
I think the Russos, I think the Russos have directed a Marvel movie or two.
A Marvel picture or two, right? And you feel that, and it doesn't feel overbearing, which frankly could have, given how a lot of the Marvel films undercut emotional moments, but there is still an actual core here. And to Tucker's point from before, I think the portrayal of the young girl, who we come to learn has a relationship with Gosling, ends up working pretty well, and I never feel like we're stepping on anything, right? I think there's more style than humor here.
Sure.
And I think that's really effective and shows sort of a metered hand that there often isn't in these types of movies.
Yeah, the one thing that I really will say about this, even if this movie doesn't blow me away, it does make me very excited for the future of the Russo brothers post MCU. And I feel they've created a visual style. There are some really nice sets here. They're really trying to explore the world and show different sets and put characters in different places, use some drone shots that are really impressive. And I enjoyed the editing. I enjoyed the cinematography. And I'm excited to see what they go next. I just hope that they are able to find something with a stronger core concept and identity.
I think the drone shots in this are superior to the ones in Ambulance. They're different. They're used differently. There is a scene where we are following Chris Evans, like running across a rooftop, and then we're diving down off of the building. We're going across a lake past a burning speedboat, and Ryan Gosling like climbing out of the water. We're covering a massive amount of space in a single take, no cuts. Yeah. It's really impressive, and that's what I think drone shots are going to be used for in the future. It still suffers from the Ambulance problem of, like, we'll start a drone shot and be like, oh man, here we go, it's about to get crazy, and then it'll cut. Yeah. I understand that. I do think that movie is a little bit over-edited, especially in its action sequences.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's kind of like my last few points that I had on The Gray Man.
Yeah, the over-editing is something that drives me up a fucking wall. It's the Bourne problem, right? But the Bourne problem covers for actors who can't do their own stunt work, right? But I do think that there is still a sort of visibility to the action that these films...
For the most part.
Yeah, these films sometimes lack, right? When you're cutting to shit and you're like, I'm not even sure who's punching who, right? Yeah. There's one particular longer hand-to-hand combat sequence that ends the film that I think is actually quite nicely done. Yeah. Even though we're cutting on strikes and we're cutting on blocks, right? I can still follow things, which frankly should be the base minimum, right? But it often isn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes chaos cinema reigns supreme, but no. But here it's visible if over edited.
This is going to get a 7.2 for me. I think it's a very good film. I got some issues with it, little lack of identity, but overall, if you like action movies, absolutely go see this. I think this is a great addition to 2022 being a great year for action movies.
Yeah, I don't know, 8.7. Who cares?
Okay, sure.
I think it's a great movie, and I think that if you're watching it on streaming, you're not gonna go wrong. I mean, what is there to dislike if you get to see in your Netflix subscription? There's a lot of horseshit on Netflix, and I don't think that this is part of it.
This is definitely a quality film.
This is probably gonna be one of the last great quality Netflix films because Netflix is like, we gotta pull the plug.
We gotta rein it in.
Too many people making Blonde. Too many people are making the Scorsese. What's that movie called? I don't even remember.
The Irishman.
The Irishman.
Oh, that one.
No more of those.
Yeah, no.
So enjoy Gray Man while you have it. High cinema.
Yeah, high cinema from the Russo brothers once again, of course. I'm gonna pair up with Duck here. I'm gonna give this a 7.2. I was hovering around that range, but since Tucker gave it that 7.2, I'm going to pair up with him. Yep. But there you have it, folks. A recommend from all of us for certain. Watch it on Netflix. You don't have to see this thing in theaters, I don't think. The Russo brothers recently had a quote about how movie theaters are elitist or something like that. I won't throw my 2 cents in, but this is one that you don't have to pay for. You can watch it on streaming. For free, of course. You don't have to pay for Netflix, actually. So, he's out of here. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.
All right, 3,
Why not?
2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Backlog Banter.